What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Masculine Health Solutions Podcast, where we discuss everything related to men's health. Now, when it comes to men's health, we specifically focus on sexual performance, obviously, but obviously the mindful and the mental side of things is very important, which is something that I do want to touch on today. Fat loss. Hey, we do it all. Last episode, Dr. Evelyn Higgins ripping it up, talking about epigenetics and how that also plays into PE. If that's something that you want to get into, you want to reach your maximum, you got to know that there's certain things that go beyond just the basics of your genetic predispositions. And then this falls into epigenetic expression, how you can influence your body to force it to basically stretch a little bit. You're more malleable than you think. And if you quit being such a pussy sometimes, you'll be able to reach more of your goals by just staying on the course. And that's where the epigenetic expression comes in. So I highly recommend you check that episode out because that ties into what we are going to discuss today, which is something that obviously comes up every now and again with the DMs. And I'm sorry, guys. I know that I haven't been focusing on the PE side of things as much as I want to. But again, I'm just going to make sure that I can put that out there and just try to do it as much as possible, going forward. I always try to do, but I'm trying to juggle all kinds of different schedules. But anyways, enough of the bitch excuses. Let's discuss one of the questions that I got today, and it was in regards to length, right? And he was referring to some of my older episodes where I talked about my extender usage and how I didn't really like using the extender that I had. Back in the day, again, we have to go back, how long was that? Like 11, 12 years ago when I started my journey. Back then, the extenders are not at the same caliber, at the same level at what exists today, right? So again, the 3 extenders that I think are the best or top of my list is actually 4. And you could definitely check out Mr. X's channel. He's the guy that's discussed, his success when it comes to making gains. And he actually reviews all of them. The dude has all of them, man. So, be sure to check him out and what he discusses in regards to the best extenders that exist out there, which is one of the extenders that I would recommend. So the best extenders that I saw on the market right now is the Epic extender, the Best extender, Apex extender, and Hog extender. Now, when it comes to length, these things did not exist when I started my journey. Back in the day, like I told you guys, I had the shitty Vimax extender. I paid too damn much for those pills that were trash. And it did not serve, it really didn't help me out in any which way, man. It was just shitty products with shitty supplements. It was not good at all, right? So the difference is now that we have these high caliber, high level extenders that you can use comfortably for the duration that you need throughout the day. Like I've said a billion times already, and a lot of you guys have listened to the show before know, when it comes to PE, if you want to find success in it, you got to make sure that the first and foremost, most important thing is comfort. If you cannot do the workout comfortably, you are going to just fall off, man. It is what it is, and there's no shame in it. Hey, if it's uncomfortable, and I'm talking about painful, right? Like you guys remember the rig that I talked about back in the day, that extender that I had with the rope, and it was not comfortable, but I was willing to bear the pain in that torture chamber to make the gains that I wanted to make. Did it help? Yeah, sure. But there's way better ways to go about it in this day and age. And like I said before, the best way that I would go about it is probably with the Best extender. That's the one that I got my eye on. It's priced right. Great prices for all of them too. They kind of stay within the same $200 to $350 region. And again, what I like now about these extenders too is that some of them will actually tell you the amount of force that you're generating as well, right? You got different accessories that you can add to it. So for the glands, the different cups, you can just get it from Total Man. Be sure to use the code MHS2020 to get 20, or I think it's 15% off. I got to check that. But anyways, use the code for a discount. I think it's 12% off. But yeah, you can make sure you can hook up different accessories to the extenders that exist now. It's more universal. So there's that side of it too, where if you already have some of the things, or you've already bought other PE products, now you can switch it up and use it with other stuff, right? So the extender would be the product that I would go with if you are looking to increase length in 2025. Period. I don't think anything is going to come close to it as far as comfort goes, as far as sizing goes, as far as the engineering and development goes, man. I don't know, man. We're living in a different era. Things have shifted, man. Things have shifted in a dramatic fashion. And I want to have Dr. Judson Brandeis on the show again to talk about exactly which extenders he's implementing. Because if I'm not mistaken, he was using an older model. But, if you could start using one of these, he's probably going to find success with the P-Long protocol. And again, if you want to learn more about that, check out that episode where the P-Long protocol, he's clinically proven that he can increase the size of your eggplant by a whole lot, right? Using different modalities such as the PRP shot, along with pumping and some other good stuff, right? So certain supplements that do come into play with that. Again, if you want to use, or if you want to get the most length in 2025, I'd go with one of these. Hands down, best way to increase your length, right? And that's basically what I was talking to with this gentleman, right? It's just how to increase length. So I would go with probably, in my opinion, I'd probably go with the best extender, Epic extender. I really like the way they're set up. They look comfortable, well priced. I'm down with it, man. I'm down with it. You can definitely check out different Reddit forums where they talk about the reviews on every single one. All that exists. All that is out there. And I would definitely go with one of those two. Now, what I would do as far as the workout goes, you guys know me, I'm kind of a veteran in this. So me personally, I would probably go for about 2 hours a day, if not a little bit more, but I would always judge and I would take into consideration the physiological indicators, right? So how do I feel? Do I feel really sore? Do I feel like, I might have stretched a little bit too much? And then as far as the tension kind of goes, you got to gauge that as well. Like how much can you handle, right? Because the load you can increase. If you are actually tracking how much pressure is being put onto your dick while it's in the extender, you can just kind of start to gauge it from there. Like, okay, you got like, I don't know, 10 pounds of pressure basically tugging on it. It's going to feel a lot different than like just the 5 pounds or just getting into the rig itself, right? So you want to make sure that you track that, have a notepad, have a way to go about it. And what I liked about Basim's setup is that he actually has an app that goes with it that reminds you and tells you it's got different exercises and stuff that you could do there. So I really like that setup, right? And that's the setup. And that's the reason why I like it. It's simplified. It's on the phone. It's got the reminders. It's good to go. I really like that setup, right? So for me personally, I would go about 2 hours a day, maybe 1 or 2 rest days to start off. Over time, I'd start to increase the amount of pressure that I would feel, or I guess it's the amount of force actually, and just make sure that I'm mindful about how much force I'm using, have a notebook and increase that over time, right? And over time, as it starts to lengthen, and it will lengthen, right? You're going to have to, start to adjust the knobs going forward as well, right? So, something to just keep in mind, and it's a part of the game of what you got to do. The other thing that I would do for recovery, because I don't know, for me, maybe it's just my skin type, but I'd be a little bit ashy when I'd come out of it. So I would definitely use my Gel to Grow cream post-workout and maybe do like a simple, again, the light warm up or warm down. I would make sure that I do that every single time as well. So that's anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, post-workout, pre-workout, just to make sure that you're good to go when you start your actual stretching session and go from there. And that was pretty much the way that I would approach it. There's different guys that like to go for 4 hours, 6 hours. And hey, if you can handle it, by all means. And the guys that do things like 4 hours and 6 hours, just understand they got more time and usually they're working from home. And that's the one thing that Mr. X had mentioned as well, is that since he was working from home, working remotely, it was easier for him to do it that way because he could just, just chill on the couch, just sit there and just extend all day, right? So why not? I also find that, when it's hanging versus the use of an extender, hanging is a little bit more cumbersome, right? Like it's a little bit more difficult. Like I do like the compression hanger that I have. Excellent gains from it. I could see why it works. However, with the extender, you just slap it on and you can just go on your computer, man. Like nobody even knows that you're there. If you're working in an office setting, it's a little bit more conspicuous, but you could get away with it, right? Just wear some baggy pants like MC Hammer. You'll be good to go. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but you could do it potentially if you wanted to, right? I think it's probably safer if you just, did it from home. That's just me. If you're watching TV for an hour a day, 2 hours a day, you're golden. You can use it, right? But I'd go about doing it that way. And then the recovery, right? Like I said, warm up, warm down. Use those tools to your advantage. They are very, very important. I would never, ever, ever, ever take that out of my workout. You need to keep that in there. It's a great way to make sure that the tissue expands in the way that you want, right? So we talked about the heaters. We talked about all kinds of different things that you can use. Again, these tools are beneficial. And a great thing that you should add to your toolbox. And like I said, man, if you're interested in the Gel to Grow cream, be sure to check out the link in the description as well. Big shouts out to the guys at Gel to Grow, Jero. Check out that podcast too that I did with him. And again, I would just make sure that you are healing appropriately. Make sure you listen to your body. Make sure you use the right amount of tension too, because you don't want to hurt yourself, right? And again, ask yourself, like, am I sore? How are my erections, the next day? Are they good? Are they solid? Do I just feel like, hey, man, it's totally beat up? I should take a rest day. Again, pay attention to physiological indicators. How do you feel? All that good stuff. But again, recognize as well that you got to be consistent. You're not going to go anywhere if you're not consistent. You do it one day, you don't do it for 4 days, you're not going to go anywhere, right? So just make sure you use that to your advantage. And the other thing that I was talking to with a gentleman when it comes to, using the new extenders is also myself, I like the use of the pump, right? If I had all the time in the world, I'd make sure that I could pump twice a day, right? Right now, it's not the case. Right? I'm doing about 4 times a week, if that. But if I had all the time in the world, I would definitely start off, or I would definitely use the pump post-workout. Like, just make 10, 15 minutes of time for that, just because I think that it maintains your girth post-workout and just makes it so that overall, you get good blood flow, you get a solid erection when you go in, right? Get that blood flow in there. It just helps with recovery, in my opinion. And I found that it works wonders for me when I do my workouts, right? And I still jelk, like I said, man, I'm still doing my thing. And as I jelk, post-workout, I will use the pump, right? And again, like my jelking sessions, like I said before in the episode where I'm like, hey, should you even do this in 2025? I think it's still beneficial. I think it still works. I do it. I think it's awesome. But I just don't do it at a very high level. It's more of a massaging technique that I do, right? Again, so I would do that post-workout and just kind of jump in the pump for 5 to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, right? You don't have to go in for too long. More than anything, it's just kind of to get that good pump post-workout. Just imagine you're going into the gym. You get a wicked workout. This is kind of like the burnout set to just give you the max amount of expansion post-workout, right? And then from there, you just go about your day. Before, I used to be bigger on healing passively in an elongated state. Do I think it works still? Yeah, I do. But do I think it's necessary? Not as much. Not as much as I used to. I think it's more important that you kind of focus more on the recovery side of things. However, there are guys too that have mentioned that they use a VLC tugger or a Phallicin Forte or the Size Genetics as well, or the Pennymaster actually, right? And they use the more comfortable ADS kind of devices, and they say that, hey, you know what? I like to heal this way. It works. I found that it worked for myself as well using the VLC tugger post-workout. Even though my workouts weren't strictly on length, it still worked, right? And it was very effective. I liked them. And like I said before, the VLC tugger was by far the most comfortable ADS device that I've ever used. Easiest, pop it on, pop it off, right? I don't know if the website still exists. Last I checked, I think it was down. So, VLC Tugger, tlctugger.com. If it exists, I'll put the link in the description. If not, well, you know what? It was a great product, but may cease to exist. All right, going back to the recovery side of things, though, if you are looking to increase your length, right, I still think it's important that supplements do come in. Like I used to be more, I guess not like a hater on the supplements, but I didn't view them as necessary as I do now. Now I think it's extremely beneficial. Now I think if you get like a beetroot extract, L-citrulline, I think it's money. And I've been experimenting more than anything when it comes to the gym, right, and using it as a workout. And the reason why I say that is that I've experimented a little bit more using it with my pump sessions, and I just found that I come out fuller, harder, less fluid buildup, and I just see the overall expansion of my dick being bigger, right? So, hey, you know what? Supplements do have a solid effect. Maybe if you're younger, maybe if you're 30 and like under 30, might not be as effective, might not see the big difference because, hey, you're already a raging bull, so maybe it's not as necessary as it might be for some older guys like myself. The other things that I found to have worked really well are pump matrices or some of those pump serums or whatever they're called at the gym. I'm drawing a blank, but like the supplements that they have for basically, getting a bigger pump when you go to the gym. Those are wicked supplements that you could take along to basically accompany your workout or use it post-workout just because you'll get more blood flow. That's pretty much it. Right. And in getting that extra blood flow, it just helps to nourish your dick. Make sure you get more of the good stuff, the nutrients, minerals, vitamins, all that good stuff that your dick needs, right? To just help with the expansion, help with the circulation. I think it's truly beneficial. So again, just taking one of these pump matrices or L-citrulline. The one thing you do want to keep in mind though, if you are going to bed post-workout, right after you've done your PE workout, you don't want to take anything with a stimulant in it. You do that, you won't be able to sleep. So be sure to check the label to ensure that you don't take anything that's got any stimulants in them, because you want to avoid that, right? So again, that'd be the best way that I would go about recovering. So again, a little bit of gel to grow cream, right? Good to go. And then I would also pump a little bit, like I said before, and a supplement doesn't hurt, right? Leviathan supplements is also the one that Hank and BD have come up with, right? And they're big dudes in the PE community, and I think their supplement is probably the one that's most geared towards PE and probably the best one on the market if you are doing PE, right? If you are solely doing PE and you know what they're all about, hey man, go with that, right? I think it's probably the best thing that'll cater to your needs if that is truly what you're going for and what it is that you if it's just in line with your goals. You know, why beat around the bush? Why skip around with different things? Just go with the thing that's made for PE, right? If not, again, iherb.com is where I go to get my supplements. L-citrulline works beautifully. Different pump matrices work great, you know. And then if you are older, like let's say 35 to 45, you can always use Cialis as well, right? There's a lot of scientific data that actually backs up Cialis being extremely beneficial, helps with blood flow, and actually helps to battle dementia and a whole bunch of other very interesting things, right? So I'm looking to have a doctor on the show in the near future who's going to discuss more about that, specifically Cialis and Viagra and how it kind of plays into it and how it can actually be beneficial in other aspects of your health, right? So it's not just about getting your dick bigger and harder. You know, it actually helps out with other things, which I think is pretty sick. So again, something you can look into, something that'll help with recovery. And the other thing too, guys, that I think I don't touch on enough, but it's a mindset. You can't just be constantly expecting to make gains like all day, every day and just kind of fixated on PE. Treat PE like the gym. Treat it like a workout, right? You go, you get your workout. You don't expect your muscles to grow overnight. You're going to give it at least 3 months, 6 months. So the one thing that I would say is just be consistent. Use that extender, right? Use it as much as you possibly can. And just relax, right? Like too many guys are kind of high stress and they're putting too much onto it. Like, listen, man, when it comes down to it, like when it comes to size, it's not as important as you may think, right? For most girls, they truly don't care as much as you think, right? So if you're completely fixated and you're obsessed with it, like I know what it's like. I've been there too, man, where I was just like, oh no, I got to get this right. It's not as important as you may think it is, right? So whenever you're pursuing your PE dreams or goals, understand that yes, you want to get there. However, it is not the most important thing in the world. In fact, it plays into a very small part of your life, like less than 1% or 5%. I mean, you're not even having sex as much as you probably think you are, you know, like, or what I mean to say is that, yes, your sex life is important, but it's probably not happening where it's taking up even 10% of your day, man. So again, just understand that, yes, it's something you want to do. It's a goal that you want to go after. However, it is something that you got to understand isn't the be all end all of who you are as a dude, right? It doesn't define your identity. It doesn't define you. So just understand that in pursuing these different goals when it comes to PE, it's fun. It's a hobby. It's something you do. It's a lot like bodybuilding, right? But it's not the be all end all. It doesn't define you as a man, right? So that being said, that's all for this episode. I do hope you make gains, and I hope you can do it with a clear mindset, healthy approach, and a positive approach, right? Again, reach out to me. Be sure to check out some of the links in the description below. All that good stuff is there. If you want to make a donation, I'll put that in there too. You can always hit me up via PayPal. Buy me a coffee, all that good stuff. I'll put the links in the description. And again, be sure to reach out with your questions. And the one thing I do want to preface here, some people do get the consultation services. And if I do have a 15-minute meeting with you guys, like that's free, no problem. But if you want to talk for hours on end, you know, I can't do it. I'm busy. I got a schedule, but you can book a paid consultation with me if that's what you're interested in, right? Just paid discussion. You get in deeper into any questions that you do have, and we'll go from there, right? My time is super valuable, but I can't do 3 hours, man. Like, so that being said, I'll see you guys in the next episode. If you do have any more questions, be sure to reach out, and I will make sure that I put out more episodes like this answering questions. That being said, that's all for today.